Lose, it's your judgment day. Show 'em.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 Western Dead Man's Hand. The film is directed by Brian Skiba and it stars Stephen Dorff, Jack Kilmer and Cole Hauser. Now, the film focuses on Cole Hauser's character Reno, who is just got married to his new bride, is a little bit of a rebel in a sense of, he kind of goes from town to town. He wants to head off to the big city to open his own casino with his new bride, and along the way he's on a stagecoach for the family, and the family gets held up by some bad guys, basically. So he comes to the rescue. He's pretty handy with a pistol. He ends up, him and his bride, killing the people that are trying to rob the stagecoach. He heads to the next town, and then he is discovered that one of the men that he has killed is the little brother of Stephen Dorff's character, who is the head gangster, but also he claims to be the mayor as well. He's got everybody in his pocket, and he essentially tries to take revenge on Reno and his bride. It is then up to Reno to kind of take his revenge with the help of Cole Hauser, who is a marshal who is also on the side of the law. Right, what are my thoughts on Dead Man's Hand? Well, I think this is, from the bits that I've been seeing and reading about this, I think this is based on a graphic novel, which I haven't read. I don't know anything about that. The film doesn't really expressly, let you know this. I think I spotted it in a trailer. So for those of you out there that know more about, the graphic novel, I suppose, you may be able to comment whether this is anywhere close to the graphic novel. From my perspective, what we get here is a pretty watchable low-budget Western. I watch quite a lot of low-budget westerns. Some of them are not brilliant. Some of them are better than others. This kind of sits, quite high up on the scale in regards to kind of low-budget westerns. It actually is made quite well. There's some good casting going on here. There's three recognisable faces here. You've got Stephen Dorff, who playing the main villain. And we know Stephen Dorff can play villains quite well. We've seen it before many, many times, especially in things like Blade. And then you've got Jack Kilmer, who is really starting to make a name for himself in the film business. If you're not sure who Jack Kilmer is, he's the son of Val Kilmer. I think the first time I saw him in a film was The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe. And he's popped up occasionally in stuff. I've seen him in some low budget stuff this last couple of years. And I think while I think his choice of films you could question at this stage in his career, he's absolutely fine in this as like the leading man, if you like. Even though Stephen Dorff gets top billing here, Jack Kilmer is really the star of this film. And while he doesn't necessarily present himself as like, the gruff, tough, vigilante cowboy type character, he pulls it off well enough for you to kind of, appreciate and kind of get behind his character. Now, Cole Hauser, on the other hand, I don't have a problem with Cole Hauser. I know, again, and I've mentioned this in a couple of recent reviews that he's popped up in. I know he's having something of a career renaissance after Yellowstone, which I believe he's in and I haven't seen. For me, he doesn't add anything to this film. It's not necessarily his fault. The character doesn't add anything to this film. He just pops up occasionally as this marshal who's on the side of justice, and then basically ends up helping the, Jack Kilmer character, Reno, by the end of the film. But it doesn't really offer anything to the film, and I would even go as far as to say if you took the character completely out of the film would have been, no worse off for it. But it's a fairly by-the-numbers Western, a very familiar story. Jack Kilmer's character is hard done to by Stephen Dorff's character, whose little brother's been killed by Jack Kilmer. So it's a simple kind of revenge tale on both sides for the most part here. But it is it is one of those kind of westerns that's got a big enough budget to kind of give us lots of explosions, lots of gunfights, and they're all done particularly well. It's even got, if you go through westerns, the boxes to tick, it's even got some mystical, Red Indian stuff going on in the film. So it's quite literally got everything that you would expect in like a western. If like an AI churned out a script for a western, it'd probably be fairly close to this because it kind of ticks all the boxes for what you would expect in a western. You've got heroes, you've got villains, you've got Red Indians, you've got revenge tales, you've got gunfights, you've got explosions, good guys, bad guys. It's got everything that you could want in a western. It's fairly watchable. Like I say, the gunfights are competently put together. The characters are reasonably memorable. Even though I think the ending is a little bit... It tries to give you a shock death at the end, if you like, that it doesn't really land as much as they thought it did. And it felt like they just went for that shock for no reason, because I think the film would have been better with a better, I don't want to say happier ending, but I think, there were certain characters in this film that earned a happy ending. So maybe, I don't know if they're going to be heading to a sequel potentially. I would probably watch it, because I certainly didn't think the time in this film for me was wasted. As westerns go these days, there's very, very few big budget westerns anymore. So this is probably one of those westerns that's as high up on the scale as you're going to get before a cinema release. And like I say, I have watched and reviewed a lot of fairly modern westerns on this channel, and there is a playlist dedicated to westerns. And this would sit comfortably on there, you know what I mean? It's not bad, but it's not great either at the same time. It's better than average for a western, but it feels far too generic, and there's some characters in the film that the film just doesn't need. And it probably could have been a little bit better in the way it was written here and there. But, as westerns go, I thought this was certainly fairly watchable. I enjoyed my time with it. I certainly wasn't bored watching it. So, yeah, if you're a fan of westerns, I would probably seek this one out. I think there are aspects of this film that western fans will certainly enjoy. So that's my review for Dead Man's Hand. I hope you liked it. If you did, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, and I'll be back with more content very, very soon.